I saw a video of Ben Stiller, who was also honored at the Wall Street Journal Innovators Award, being presented with his Labubu, which all
I
of the
did not see
recipients
that.
apparently received. And he was just like, "Oh, look, yeah, I guess this is what you get now," type thing. But it was this amazing moment of everybody not being in on the joke, just everybody just being like, "Yeah, this is what are you guys doing?"
What was the
You're
award? Well, that's just like it's
well,
10 minutes too
the Wall Street
late.
WSJ magazine does an annual issue called The Innovators, and they
Right.
award a group of people. Let's call it 10 per issue, and then they put on a banquet dinner that's a big fest for advertisers that where the innovators are celebrated and feted. Hip Replacement, episode number 33. Kyle, everything's coming up threes today. We got Kaya Nova here in the studio with us. Makes three of us.
Yes.
It's November the 3rd as we record this. So that's another
Yes.
three.
What is sign? I don't know what the sign of, but that's a sign of something. I don't know.
Yeah, me
Who
either.
knows?
We could go all day with this numerology, but we'll stop.
Yeah.
I did want to start with something numerical though, because in this discussion of issues or of relevancy for generations X, Y, and Z, there is one common cultural thread that we've all had over the last umpteen years that's now coming to an end. After 46 seasons, Ridiculousness is going off the air.
The great cultural bridge.
Oh God, I don't think there's anything great about that show, but okay.
Yes.
Hey.
So Ridiculousness, for those who aren't aware, is the sort of quizzy game show hosted by Rob Dyrdek and his co-hosts, which has literally run for 46 seasons apparently on MTV and is now being sunsetted, as David Ellison and the new owners of Paramount Global apparently are going to return MTV to a music channel, which is something we can talk about separately too. But that was the undercurrent. But so I am, Kai, you may not know this. Kyle certainly has heard it a million times. I am a 50-year-old skateboarder and contemporary of Rob Dyrdek. Like he was a famous skateboarder when I was a teenager, and like we're not too dissimilar in age. So he's somebody whose career I followed for a really long time, both as in admiration and in horror, mainly because of things like Ridiculousness, which again I think are just sort of don't have a lot of redeeming value, but they have been undeniably successful. He was being paid in excess of $32 million a year to do it, and now it's coming to an end. What does ridiculous mean to anybody at this? What has it meant? What does it mean now? Because I'm still a little confused.
I mean,
wow.
The show, yeah. Well, a few things really quickly is like, first off, I feel like it's sort of exactly to your point, Ben. Like I feel like it hit and represents something very different for every generation, and we have 3 generations here exactly. So like I will say that like for me it came of the time of like Tosh 2.0 or whatever that show was, and things like that. There were sort of reinventions of America's Funniest Home Videos that then sort of like spiraled into whatever. And I guess Ridiculousness was sort of at the beginning of that. So it, at a certain point was like, I'm handing this down to younger people because like I don't have the time to watch this. I'm going to the source to watch these things, and this seems like something for a kid to watch on MTV, which is where I'm curious to get your take, Kaya. And really quick intro for Kaya. Kaya is an artist and founder of Grown Magazine and Grown Media, and is Gen Z as well. We previously worked together. I'm curious, but yeah, what's your relationship to Ridiculousness? Because I feel like it was very Gen Z.
Yeah, and it's funny because I like to call myself a zillennial because I'm like 94. Okay. So I'm like, I get millennial stuff, but I'm like, I get Gen Z too. I remember Ridiculousness like you said, it felt like a follow through of like America's Funniest Home Videos. And I used to love that as a kid. I've like seen all of the hosts on America's Funniest Home Videos. So it felt like a natural transition into that. But then I felt like when things like YouTube started happening and you can kind of just like find some of these videos on your own, it wasn't so necessary to like sit in front of a TV and like watch these videos consecutively. So it did get to a point where it was something that was happening when I was younger. And then I don't know, after a while, it's just like, what are we doing here? And then I think they had a point where they were like having some like celebrities come on. So it gave it almost like this like podcasty before the podcast era thing.
I was going to say like a watch along show before that even became a genre.
Then I think also because the co-hosts, there's like Sterling and then Chanel West Coast, and I was always really confused by Chanel West Coast as like a person. Like no shade, I was just like, she's a rapper. She's,
well,
you know, like so it was also just like, who am I coming to watch all the time? I don't know. It was a weird situation, and then going back when I was an adult and just seeing Ridiculousness on for hours and hours and hours on end, I was like, do they owe this man like back pay? Like what is going on?
Sure.
I read in some of the news around this that it was 113 of 168 programming hours on MTV. So literally 2/3 of the airtime on the channel.
Shit.
How is that even like possible? I don't even...
Well, I mean, it's how you do 46 seasons in 10 years or something like that, right? I mean, it is hard. It's hard to fathom. It also is, it's such an interesting statement about an indictment of the, you know, the cable advertising system where it is much, much more profitable to have the same repeated content over and over again as opposed to new original content or short form in the form of music videos that you can't monetize as effectively. So it's remarkable. And it's remarkable also that that system is coming to a close as we have a short form video platform become the number one TV viewing, you know, platform in the world with YouTube. And then also that you get a Gen, I think David Ellison is Gen X, and wants his MTV. He wants to see MTV return to the heyday, the glory day, Kyle.
Which is a long debate that has been had. I was having it when I was there. They said exactly why they wouldn't do it. And like, I get it exactly to that point of like, it doesn't make money. And then nothing... It went down that's how you ended up with Ridiculousness, which was also an echo effect. I remember being like, things are happening in these worlds and we do want the music. How do we bridge both? And then it didn't happen. And then here we are. And like, it's definitely not going to work now.
Did Ridiculousness introduce cringe to as a let's call it durable concept? Like America's Home Videos, that's, you know, candid camera, it's this kind of pratfall thing has always existed, but the idea of it being repeatable, aspirational, successessful, I mean, is that a thing, or am I just making that up from afar?
I think you're making it up.
Okay,
because I feel like that, because like cringe
wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, because cringe came more out of like millennials posting online, because like it was separate. It was less of like the like pratfall thing that happened. You know what I mean? Like it was less of that and more of like a statement of like a Twitter post. I think it's like really where it started to originate, and like probably trickled into like, you know, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. But like, I don't think like it was not something that came from TV. I think I could be wrong, but like I remember.
Well, I guess I'm not thinking that it comes directly from it, but I'm wondering, you know, does it help to institute a condition in which everybody is comfortable with discomfort, right? In a way, and can sort of lean into it and celebrate it, where it doesn't feel like punching down so much as it just feels, you know, sign of the times.
Yeah.
You don't seem convinced.
I'm not convinced, because I feel like it's like cringe. So It's a funny thing to think about because I feel like cringe was sort of something that existed online, but it didn't become what it didn't have the life that it has now until Gen Z put it into context. That makes
Sure.
sense.
Okay.
Because like it was
It
more of
does.
just like an online thing that just like sort of existed and what it was, and it was more just like it was more like a statement you say about yourself more than anything else that then evolved
Sure.
into like what it is now, which probably started happening around the time of like OK Boomer in 2019.
Was OK Boomer 2019?
That was
Wasn't that later than
2019.
that?
No, 2019 or
Was it
early
really?
2020 because I was working at Nickelodeon at the time. Remember, it was a whole talk about around the office, and we were talking
I
about it was
thought
definitely pre-pandemic.
it was. Okay, so I thought OK Boomer was a pandemic thing.
No, it was like
There
right
you go.
before. I think it was late 2019 into 2020.
Well,
I'm pretty
speaking
sure.
of cringe, Kaya got so sick of us talking about it that she disappeared from the podcast.
We
I'm sure we're
lost
having
her.
a
I was like,
connection.
I was
We're
going
having a
to look. I'm
connection issue.
looking at my emails to
We'll
see like maybe we've gotten a
yeah, we'll
message.
get her back in a second.
Ah,
Here she is.
My computer just completely like shut down. I'm like, what? Sorry.
all good.
It's okay. So, we'll see. Series producer Campbell is going to figure something out in post. But we were joking that you got so cringed out by the cringe conversation that you just disappeared. You just left. You're like, I'm out of here.
They heard us talking
Man,
about Rob and he came and just like pulled me off.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. That was Big Deer
that
Deck coming in to,
hey. I mean, it
change your
definitely was
computer.
the show had a trickster prankster element, so it would make sense.
It's true. It's true. Well, okay. So speaking of Rob, he's going to take his $32 million a year plus and go off and be. I saw something where um, he committed himself to becoming a billionaire, which I thought was noble.
Rob Deerdeck.
Yeah. He it was sort of, it was a little bit like, you can't stop me. I'm going to become a billionaire anyway, with having the head start of, hundreds of millions of dollars from the ridiculousness show. But what that brought to mind was Billie Eilish's advice for billionaires
Mm-hmm.
over the weekend or whenever that was, that I would love to talk about a little bit. You want to set the stage, Kyle?
Yes, I will. So Billie Eilish, I forget what award she won, but she was given an
It was
award and was also.
it was a Wall Street Journal's Innovators Award.
But that's what it was. I knew it was Wall Street Journal, but not that it was an Innovators Award. And I think this speaks to her in a way innovating. I know she was also in the magazine cover and all this stuff. And in receiving the award, which also like I watched the video, like it just looked terrible, and like Haley Bieber got something too. It was like really flat, like it looked like it shouldn't have been recorded, but it was. But she basically addressed billionaires directly, and Mark Zuckerberg was in the room to just say something to the effect of like, billionaires, like, why do you have so much money? Like, you should give it away. And basically wrapped her speech, and like that happened in tandem with her also like committing to give 11.5 million, I believe, from her tour to support climate causes and things to sort of rectify income inequality, like all these sort of progressive causes, which is really exciting. To me, it seems, and I don't know, I don't think she's a billionaire, but she's definitely probably millions. It's a bit of a
million.
Yeah, definitely millions. It's a baller move. Is it going to actually do anything? I don't know, but I do think that that's sort of like the call coming from inside the house to do something, and to use your platform like that is needed right now. So that felt really poignant,
okay,
and really
fair.
Does it going to do
Go
anything?
ahead.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But
well, I agree with you. I agree with you there. I guess the question, Kaya, is the way she said it, which was, love you all, but there's a few people in here that have a lot more money than me. If you're a billionaire, why are you a billionaire? No hate, but yeah, give your money away, shorties.
shorties.
Do you think the shorties in the audience receive that as intended? Uh-oh.
Lose Kaya again. Technical difficulties. I don't. Well, there was reporting that we lost her again. There was reporting that Zuckerberg was really visibly upset, I think was what I read. Yeah, because
I
like
mean,
Priscilla was also there, and there, look, hey, there's cases to be made that like they are giving away their money, they are doing these things. But as I was sort of like doing research for a project today and like looking at all the billionaires in fashion, it's like it doesn't like that. You're not doing enough. So like that was make him mad, make him like uncomfortable. Like that, I think is even more effective than the like the actual message is like the
yeah.
public embarrassment.
What would I mean? How thin-skinned do you have to be to get? I mean, don't ever go to a roast in that case. Jesus, that's like
Totally.
the lightest critique of all time. Wow.
I
That
mean, I was gonna.
I hadn't heard that. That's a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
ridiculous. You know what else was ridiculous, by the way? Speaking of, since we're on the topic of ridiculous, I saw a video of Ben Stiller, who was also honored at the Wall Street Journal Innovators Award, being presented with his Labubu, which all of the
I did not see
recipients
that.
apparently received, and he was just like, "Oh, look, yeah, I guess this is what you get now," type thing. But it was just it was this amazing moment of everybody not being in on the joke, just everybody just being like, yeah, this is, what are you guys doing,
What was the
You're,
award? Well, that's just like it's
well,
10 minutes too late.
WSJ magazine does an annual issue called The Innovators, and they
Right.
award a group of people, let's call it 10 per issue, and then they put on a banquet dinner that's a big fest for advertisers that where the innovators are celebrated and feted. So yeah, you had Billy, you had Haley, you had Lil Zucky, and you had Ben Stiller, who is on a real tear these days. I don't know if you've seen the Stiller soda, surely,
right? Which is why, but okay.
Well, I mean, I'm not mad. I have to tell you, I'm not mad at it. And full disclosure, a friend of mine, former colleague, is the head of marketing there, so I have a little bit of a conflict of interest involved. But no, I think that soft drink space, has been a problem, and all of the probiotic stuff doesn't help its problemness, right? I think what Stillers is doing in terms of trying to make a product that they actually think is, honest and tastes good, as opposed to having some bizarre secondary benefit which isn't real, is
right. Is it just a healthy soda? I haven't even dug into it.
I don't even know that they're presenting it as healthy. I think they're just basically saying like it's sort of like, the modern day equivalent to Dr. Brown's, which hasn't gone anywhere, of course, but like the classic New York soda counter kind of soda, starting with the Shirley Temple flavor. But Ben is doing that. He's got his, speaking of generations, he just has this documentary about his parents, Jerry Stiller and
I heard about,
which I have not seen yet, but which I'm interested to check out at some point. And then he's doing Chase ads for Apple TV, or Apple TV ads for Chase, where he's trying to get his family to talk about his favorite or their favorite shows on Apple TV Plus, which, as he notes, comes free with Chase Sapphire. And they all say the studio. And
I actually did not know that. And we have a Chase Sapphire card. Keep going. The studio. Now I can watch the studio.
Now you can watch the studio. But they apparently like the studio, and he's like, no, what about another show that begins with S that has, suspense and twists and turns? And they say, oh, you mean Slow Horses? Yeah, we like that one too. Oh, Ben, you hilarious guy.
Not
Kaya, listen, if these topics are gonna make you turn off your computer, we can give you trigger warnings.
This is what happens when you get a laptop off of back market, and if they want to come after me after this, that's completely fine. But
I know the CMO is a friend. We got a direct line. Give
him my personal email. Yeah, like the computer.
Sure, give her. Yeah. We will get in touch with Joy, and we will talk to her about it.
But we should be good. I've changed locations. I think it's connection is better in my living room, so should be
all right.
Good.
The wonderful thing about being resolutely amateur as podcasters is that we can get away with the kind of warts and all presentation here.
I appreciate that.
So we'll see. Well, okay. So here's to catch you up quickly, because we'll rely on series producer Campbell to drop us back into this. The one thing I asked about was whether the style of monetized, venerated, and long-time successful cringe content helped to introduce cringe as a concept into the zeitgeist. Kyle says no. I'm not so sure. But then again, I'm also not so close to it.
Yeah, that's a tricky one, honestly, because I feel like the conversation around cringe, one, just started to like poke fun at millennials, and like we've been getting shit since avocado toast, and like, so like at this point we're just used to it. But Gen Z like really came for us, and I think that's where like cringe started to become, at least in my world, like that's where cringe started to become a thing, by making fun of millennials and all the cringy things we used to do back in the day, and the way we take pictures and all of this. And I'm still a millennial peace sign girl to the day I die. I will not stop doing that.
Wait, is the peace sign that's a millennial thing?
Yeah, at least it is for us. Like,
I do too.
No, wait,
are you talking about
like
peace sign?
so for those not watching this, yeah, but like peace sign, or is it more like the kawaii kind of like?
Okay, that actually might be a little cringe, so I might.
I do the double, but I think I think the peace sign is more peace sign, or like the very like actually cringe, like the faces, or like like things like that, like the really just like making a face. So like that's
exactly. It's
that's
like you're refined.
Cringe. Like the peace sign is maybe the cooler version of it. Yeah.
Okay.
But like compare then to Gen Z, where it's like the various iterations of like
I don't like that one at all. It's either this or nothing. I'm not.
That is like this like breaks my fingers every time.
It's interesting because I feel like the conversation
people do that.
Be cringe. Like you need to be cringe in order to live your dreams and let people see you try. And like it's like fueled by millennials trying to reclaim our right to be cringe, and just like convincing everyone like there's no other way to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you age out at some point, no matter what, and you can try to hang on to it as much as you want, or you can, start a podcast called Hip Replacement to commemorate your surgeries, or you can, but either way, it's coming for you. So yeah, you might as well.
Yes.
Lean in.
Yes.
But I think it to exactly both of those points is that like cringe was like weaponized against us, and like now is being reappropriated into something that is seen as like a utility, which is great to see, because like in the original days, like being cringe wasn't something that was negative. It's just like you're pointing out something that is a bit embarrassing, which is what it is. But like now to that point, it's like that there was a means to an end, which plays into the larger story of like millennials sort of like, or Gen Z looking at millennials and learning some lessons, which is like lovely to see and hear, because I feel vindicated.
So okay, so I want to whenever, as you're talking about cringe becoming an asset, I am inevitably drawn to this,
which I still don't understand. I still don't know what that means.
Dance like nobody's watching, et cetera, right?
Sure.
Like this decades old aphorism. But the what it reminds me of a little bit is how about how at what points can we kill these movements? And I'm asking specifically about 6-7, which of course coming out of Halloween weekend has been declared dead because the parents. You still don't know what 6-7 means?
I don't think.
Unfortunately for you, you never need to find out, because it's been killed by Halloween. How did you, Kyle? Did you do 6-7?
No. I was going to do 6-7 as well, but then I ran out. I had a monstrous day on Friday. I literally ran out. I finished a meeting, and then I had a dinner I was already late to, and I was like, I didn't have time to like grab tape and like put it on the shirt, and I was like, whatever. I just like wore like various thematic colors and left, and I called it a day. I had grand ambitions to put tape on my shirt, and then I did not. But yours look great.
Thank you. So Kaya, we talked on the last episode about how my wife and I were going to be 6-7 for Halloween. Shortly after we recorded, then all of these memes came out about how parents were killing Halloween with 6-7 costumes. And so we second guessed it a little bit and thought maybe we shouldn't do this. But it was too late. We didn't have time to put any other tape on our shirts. And so we just wore the 6-7 shirts.
Oh.
And actually, everybody reacted really well.
Cycles. Like things are going to be cringy just for them. Like it's going to always be that.
Who came by and were like 6-7 and want us to do the gesture and everything. And then my wife, because we had both come into New York very late the night before.
Yeah. Exactly.
Just had to go take a nap. So I'm sitting out on the porch by myself with the 7 shirt.
Be cringe for now. It'll probably
people asked me if I was
come back
missing
around
my 6,
and then be
I said,
cool.
no, I'm group 7, and it was a whole thing.
Okay, good. I was going to say that was the correct answer.
Yes.
Oh yeah. I read the internet, Kyle. I know what's going on.
Okay, good.
I know what's going on. But Kaya, so to that end, I mean, do you think as a connoisseur of cringe science, does the parents' adoption of such a thing enable it? Can it be killed? I mean, if it's the word of the year, it is going to be tricky to. All right, I'm hanging on to my 7 shirt then.
Yeah, I'm so curious because that was such a big discussion about if that's all it takes to sort of like make something disappear, then like we should have more adults just sort of like drive it into the ground. Is it like it's such a funny thing because like I feel like the whole 6-7 panic was more, and I know we talked about this last week, but like it's just based on a lack of understanding of like the meaninglessness economy of just like it just means nothing. It doesn't, like, there's nothing more to it. There might be, yes, there's a reference. It's like tied to a song technically, but like you don't have to like self-flagellate because you don't get it. Like it's like it is what it is. Like it's fine. So like it's funny. I actually like, granted, I've not seen either way of like kids talking about it online of like, oh, my parents they did 6-7 and I'm so embarrassed. But like I think it was maybe less of the killing of the word and more of a sort of meeting of the minds to be like, we all own this now. We took this from you.
Yeah, for what it's worth, we put it on. I put it on my Instagram story, and my daughter, who is 16, Kaya, and is a recurring character on the show in absentia, she said, "What the fart, boy, you dead trolling," and so there you go. This is what the kids say these days.
Wow,
I was in fact dead trolling.
Did she? That's incredible. I mean, that's like yeah. Hey, that says something good about your relationship online, because like when I text my dad, it's very formal. I do not say anything like that. So like I wish that's a fascinating thing I've not thought about. It's like the texting relationship between generations, because my dad like sends me like an email and a text, and I send him back a like actual text message.
It's yeah. I mean, we try to be. I have always held that you know, if you want to have an effective communication with somebody, you have to speak to them, you know, in a vernacular that approaches the one that they would speak to their peers in. Which is not to say I'm trying to be, you know, how do you do, fellow kids type zone,
right.
But it does mean at the very least, you know, understand the cues and respond to them accordingly. And then you know, as you hear me do all the time, Kyle, insist on correct grammar. I'm curious though, speaking of Halloween, how gay Halloween went this year, because it, you know, Kyle, you wrote that it continues to thrive. I guess I don't necessarily distinguish between regular Halloween and gay Halloween, or
do you know what gay Halloween is?
Halloween. Maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, so, I saw a Casey Lewis. No, wait, was it Casey Lewis? Somebody sent a TikTok video of. Was it you? Was the guy doing the voiceover of the Sydney Sweeney American Eagle ad?
I don't think it was me.
Yeah,
no. I don't think it was me.
There was a guy in the denim tuxedo with a blonde wig and bright blue contact lenses doing the voiceover to the Sydney Sweeney American Eagle ad, and it was pretty fun.
That's good. I'm surprised we didn't see more of that anyway. But so
you know where I think that came from? I think I know exactly where it came from. It came from the Weekly Work, which is the newsletter on Substack by this woman who identifies
Yes.
herself as culture work on TikTok.
I love her. I've been meaning to email her to interview her or something, but I keep forgetting.
If you manage to get in touch with her, let me know, because I've emailed her a bunch of times and she's never responded to me. So
she's an icon, but also very mysterious. Which
yes, indeed.
Anyway, but gay Halloween, to that point, I don't think you have the full intel on what it is. So gay Halloween is like basically is a meme that started a few years ago with gay people being like, I hate gay Halloween. What do you mean I'm like Ariana Grande's leg or something very specific? And like it was like it sort of started as like Gay World Halloween, where it was like you were a very specific reference. And like that then spun out probably in the past 2 years. Like that probably started earlier in the 2020s, let's say 2023. Last year it really broke out. Actually, no, probably in 2022. Because 2023 was the year when like internet costumes became like everybody did that. Last year, then gay Halloween, which is usually, again, it became a meme. So then people just said, I hate gay Halloween. What do you mean your insert meme or very specific thing? And then that sort of like clarified last year was that like this is like now internet costumes are the costume. Cut to this year, and the same thing happened. It maybe even got more niche. I think probably was the same level as it was last year, even the past 2 years. But now like everybody sort of is doing, or more people are doing it. And the way to sort of like categorize yourself as that is like, I hate gay Halloween. What do you mean you're blah, blah, blah? And like, even if you're not using that to self-identify, the phrase like gay Halloween sort of like now has become like the umbrella term for like any sort of internet based, or you have to know the reference, quote unquote, costume.
I see. Okay.
So that's what it is. So like, that's why like people were writing about like gay Halloween is back, because like this is, I think, and people feel free to dissent, like this is probably the third year where like that has been the case. Because last year was like the masses, let's say, noticed it. This year it was like, we're back. And so like, I think that's just modern Halloween now, which is part of the conversation people are having. Okay. But that's the context. So technically you were having a gay Halloween.
I was just going to say, I was performing gay Halloween. Excellent. Had no idea. By the way, it occurs to me in speaking to the way Harper responded to that Instagram story, I also put an "if you know, you know" sticker on the image. And I think that for some reason that was a very specific trigger for her response.
Very like, as if you don't know, like, right.
Yeah, exactly.
That okay. You just put like salt.
You know what it also was. It also was that I just put the word, and then I put the "if you know, you know" sticker, and I was referring to the fact that 6'7" was the word of the year in the dictionary, or whatever dictionary it was that named it the word of the year this year. And I told Harper and her boyfriend that yesterday, and they were like, "Wait, numbers are words?" And then they're like, whoa, hey, numbers are words.
That is incredible, because it was like, talk about turning the tables now. It's like, we beat you at your own game. This didn't have a meaning, and now it does.
Yeah.
Now it's in the dictionary. Fully. Now numbers are words.
Numbers are words, guys.
Which is hilarious. Yeah.
All right. Well, listeners, it feels like we've continued to run into some technical issues with our guest, and so this may end up being a somewhat strange episode, but let's just keep going. Let's keep rolling. It is the eve of Election Day here in New York. Big topic, of course, Zoran Mamdani and his candidacy, whether or not as a democratic socialist he will destroy New York forever, whether New York deserves to be destroyed forever. What happens when you go to a Knicks game and don't sit courtside and instead sit in section 212 as he did over the weekend? What happens when you're a mayoral candidate and you go out to all of the nightclubs? He's really, I have to say, as somebody who is of a certain age and is of a certain, let's call it, like, has achieved a certain degree of success and security here in New York, which I'm very grateful for, and which my wife and I have worked very hard for. It feels like I'm supposed to be very concerned that this guy is going to take away everything that I've worked for and hold
Right.
dear. And I just
Right.
cannot sympathize with that point of view at all. I mean, and the
Right.
thing I say to people all the time is, it's like, look, irrespective of everything else, like irrespective of the fact that he works with people I know, and that we just need a change, generally speaking.
Totally.
The guy was a rapper. I'm sorry. He's just
Right.
he was a rapper. Like, there is, all you have to understand is the way in which a hip hop point of view internalizes the outward world. And this guy is he's not trying to burn New York down. He's not trying to penalize people. I think it is a reasonable thing to think, as in this statute in California at the moment, that if there are tax measures you can take that affect 200 people, literally 200 individuals, and you change the trajectory of society for millions, then it is worth looking at and talking about. But I struggle when people in my universe second guess this guy. It just surprises me.
That is wild. Well, I guess it's not wild, technically speaking, that there are people in your orbit, and any, or I'm sure in my orbit there are people who are also
Sure.
like,
yeah, of course,
no, like I don't support, but like that to me is like, it's funny because I know you mentioned this a lot, and I carry a similar worldview. Is that like, I think it really sort of outs people as, and this is very simplistic, but like as a glass half empty, glass half full, pessimist, optimist sort of view, because like
that's probably true.
The views, even just on a very technical, simplified level, of Zoran versus Andrew Cuomo are like, Andrew Cuomo is sort of like making it seem like it's such a negative, awful, like everything that he's doing, the campaign, the vision, everything is just like, it's not enticing, it's not very positive, it's not uplifting. And like Zoran's is like the exact opposite. Like, it's so exciting, it's so plugged in, it's so culturally relevant, it's speaking to the moment, and it's like it's not to bring Graham Plattner into this, but like if we were comparing a bit of like his of the peers in this political moment, like Zoran has not had any issue. Less about like there's not been a fumble. Like, sure, I'm sure there has been technically a fumble, but like there hasn't been any skeleton to come out of the closet that is like, whoa, like this is great. Like, again, like everything culturally, just like his background, his vision, his just like confidence and sort of representing an idea and a vision and seeing it through is amazing. And like it's people haven't been this excited about politics in or out of New York in
that's true.
More than a decade, because like this sort of buzz.
Actually, I don't think that's. I think that's. It's true on the left. I think people
True.
are and have been that excited about Trump, and
true.
So there's it's more about the power and the reflection. Look, I saw a friend of mine posted a story today that was a picture of a wolf speaking in front of an audience of sheep, and it said, "If elected, I'm going to go vegan." And this was related to specifically the his comments about or comments that have been attributed to him about Israel. That I certainly understand. I don't put a lot of stock in it, but I understand the point of view and the fear. Bill Maher said something a couple of weeks ago about the fact that he has retained his Ugandan citizenship. Uganda is a place where homosexuality is illegal, and therefore he ought to renounce his Ugandan citizenship. I think that gets into the essence of the discussion, which is essentially people believe you can only hold one truth in your hand at one time, which I don't believe, but I do think there's a point there to be made, but I don't think it overrides the general, like spirit, inventiveness, and thoroughness of this thing. Like, to go to a Knicks game and sit not courtside as Cuomo did and Eric Adams did, but to sit up in the stands and to do so in section 212, the Manhattan area code,
which is iconic.
Smart. It's just smart.
Yeah.
They're thinking of everything, and for that reason you go, well, how about this? Maybe this could be a politician who actually thinks through everything and considers the implications, as opposed to just acting reflexively or going off of party politics or whatever the thing is. And that's the hope that it gives me in any case.
And it's, I think exactly to that point, like this is someone, and this is, there might be a case that someone in the Trump world or a Trump affiliate has done things like this, but like everything, even the sort of riding the bus to the debate, which I think was like to me the highlight of the campaign, is contextualized within the experience of real people. And like
Yeah, of
that
course.
is, it's such a low bar and such a low thing to do. Like it's not the let me show up to the deli or the diner and like hold a baby and like eat a bowl of matzo ball soup and then like get in my limo and go. No, like everything top to bottom has been that sort of like I am with the people, I am with you, I am of you, and like that sort of context is key. And like that is like it's so it really there's a lot of hand wringing about like what does it mean, what does authenticity mean and being genuine mean for a brand or for a figure or whatever. And while I always feel like whenever this conversation comes up with a client or whatever, I'm like, how are we still having this conversation? We've been having this conversation for like 5 years. Like this does not seem that difficult. However, then someone like Zoran walks in and like reinvents the playbook to really show like this is it. And like sure, there you could debate that part of it is performative. Yeah, obviously, like he's a public figure. However, it is so much more based again with reality, with his history. Like if you look at AOC, there's a similar thing. Like this is coming from a real world lived experience. That if you do that with Cuomo, like it's not going to be that at all. He's not going to take the bus anywhere. He's never taken the bus. And like same with all these things. Like that sort of like is a fundamentally different experience. And I think that that is what makes it exciting and what makes everybody everywhere. Cause like we were even we're talking about it in Spain of like, that is like, we can have people like that who are like us.
Sure.
And that's
Sure.
exciting.
Well, and you know, as someone who has worked with people with a lot of experience, people who are young leaders, people who have no experience at all, like, you know, I think the one knock against him is that he doesn't have a lot of experience running these giant organizations or giant cities. And certainly, I mean, New York is a massive organization.
Mm-hmm.
By the same token, again, I point to the 212 thing and just go, there's a dumb way to do that, and then there's a slightly smarter way to do it, and he's picked the slightly smarter way every time, which makes me think he's going to apply the slightly smarter metric like the other successful young leaders that I've worked with over the course of my life, and do so effectively. And so anyway, that's my belief. Get out and vote tomorrow, guys, if you're in the New York City area, or I guess today as this episode comes out. Make sure you get out and vote today. And otherwise, you know, either way, this is going to be a referendum on the way that politics works going forward, as you know, opposed to the Great Gatsby themed ball at the White House on Halloween on the eve of SNAP benefits being cut.
It's so it's so. Again, like I feel like if this comes up every so often, it's like you couldn't have the writers of this show do a better job. Like it's like it is just so incredibly like terrible, like the optics and just like the choices and like it. Yeah. Anyway, but yes, it's going to like that's why it's so exciting. That's why this is. People are already looking at what's happening in New York as really a litmus test for a lot of things, and arguably the Jersey, I think, gubernatorial election as well.
New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill and Jack Ciattarelli.
Which is like a very interesting thing. I was watching a video editorial from the New York Times about how this is being seen as a test of like, you know, our votership's just really, you know, misogynistic, and we'll never get like a woman at a certain point of power. And like that's been something that I know friends and like my aunt in particular have really mentioned over the years. It's just like this, people are just, they're sexist, and we're never gonna be able to get over that. And so I think that is another one I'm watching too, because I'm very curious to see. I think it's hopeful. I think it's all hopeful.
Well, it's, you know, touch wood. Not and to be clear, like I don't know enough about that race to you know, make any determinations about it, but I will say that if we are in a place where misogyny is so entrenched that we can never elect a woman to real positions of power, we're blowing it. pretty badly.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
All right. Well, Kyle, listen, this has been a sort of a strange episode, given some of our technical difficulties.
Yeah, I jinxed it because I said we have all these number threes, and then Kaya dropped 3 times. So I put a numerological curse on this episode, and I apologize for that. We will bring back Kaya at a later date and redo it and make sure that her computer and internet are up and running effectively.
But in the meantime, thank you, Kai, for joining us shortly, and we'll see you again soon. And everybody, thank you for joining us on Hip Replacement. This has been episode number 33. We record every Monday to publish every Tuesday. So come back and see us next week on YouTube and Spotify and all of your favorite platforms. Kyle, great to talk to you, as always.
Good to see you. Good to talk to you.
See you next week.
Happy Election Day, everybody. Happy early Christmas. That's a whole other. We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah. All right. Next week.